Hello, welcome to another episode of Black Guy 73. I'm Black Guy 70. Well, we know it's springtime. We know springtime is here because Israel has started bombing the Palestinians. People, this shit happen every year, seems like. Every year it seems like Israel bomb the Palestinians every spring. Soon as it start warming up, soon as the snow start melting, whatever, some people start coming outside, Israel start bombing the Palestinians. And I always come up with Ramadans. Dinner with Ramadans. People, I thought they had an agreement. When Ramadans come around, there are a lot of Palestinians to come to the West Bank and, worship Muhammad. But with Christians just get stronger and stronger. They have clashes every year about this same little piece of wall. Or same temple. Every year they always have a clash about it. And Israel have some of the best rocket defense in the world. Because they know that this shit that the Hamas, what they be sending is like pocket rockets. The stuff that you use on the 4th of July or use on New Year's, that's what Hamas be sending at Israel, pocket rockets. So if Hamas sent 100, Israel gonna knock down about 95 and the other 5 gonna fall short. But Israel has some of the best military equipment in the world because they buy it from one of the best countries in the world, the United States. So 26 people was killed, including children. But Israel had released a statement before that night, saying they just targeted the militants, so that's who we hit. They woke up the next morning, started releasing pictures, and we seen, I think they said 9 children were killed, and other civilians were murdered again by Israel. But Israel always have a legit reason why they do it or what happened. They always be legit. Like, hey, the militants, they fired a rocket within a populated area, and we had no other choice but to respond with dropping bombs on an entire area of where they projected where the damn rockets came from. People, they drop bombs in neighborhoods, and they be like, they act shocked, like, oh, so civilians got killed. People, you dropping bombs where people sleep. It was at night, people. It was dropping bombs on people's head at night. They claim it was precision strikes. What the fucking precision strikes? Because they don't have the real target area where the darn rockets come from. But like I said, it's every. They said the last time they had a large military engagement was 2019, but they're not counting 2020 when Israel was popping some Palestinians at the border and stuff. This is if you look back at my videos, you have time to look back at my videos, you will see it. I have did 3 to 4 videos. Might be 3 to 4, but 3 to 4 videos on Israel to the Palestinians. And you know how they portray our country as the police of the world? Police of the world never do anything to Israel. I don't care who was the president. I have lived to see. I have been born. I was born in the 70s, so I've been seeing presidents from Jimmy Carter all the way to now, Joseph Biden. And nobody never held or hold Israel accountable for all the darn civilian lives that get lost between the Palestinians people. Nobody, nobody. Even the countries that are around them don't say anything to Israel. They might release a statement like the people in Egypt. What is the name of them? I think the Muslim Brotherhood. They might release a statement. Iran might release a statement. Something like that. But that's it. Nobody. There don't be no one sanctions put on Israel for killing all these innocent people. There don't be no civil rights group going to Israel questioning them. The president keep getting become president every election. He become president. There's never been no backlash from him killing innocent Palestinian. Matter of fact, I think the president, he went to college in the United States. He might have been one of the appointed presidents. It happened all the time. It happened all the time. Appointed president. So now they're saying with all the bloodshed, the two countries are preparing for war. But one country don't have anything but guns and homemade rockets. Right? Israel can ride up through there with tanks, drop drones on people's head, fighter jets. This is not a war. This is a damn slaughter, genocide. People, let's be honest. Just last night, they killed up to 26 people with a bomb, dropping bombs on it. Just 26 people. No boots on the ground, no nothing. Sending a drone, sending their own high-tech rockets. Get 26 people. And like I said, 9 of them was children. But it's just another, as they said, another day in the Middle East. But all that work, I know people don't like Donald Trump, but all that work Donald Trump put in to get the Palestinians and Israel to have a ceasefire, don't have no large-scale war. Because Donald Trump like, yo, I'll put y'all on a sanction. I don't care. Y'all is Israel. Our country is more powerful. We create more revenue for our people. We don't need you all. Because they were trying to label Donald Trump as the Israel hating president. But this man got the Palestinians and Hamas and Israel to sit down and have a little truce. They still had their little clashes, but at the same time, they had a little truce. Now, you got a Democrat back in there is an Israel sympathizer. And Israel just starting off springtime. They're trying to come to the Gaza Strip, start bombing them. Okay. The only thing is, they're mad at the Palestinians because the Palestinians won't recognize them as a damn state. I had said it on a video before. The people in the Middle East have made it clear and said, these people that y'all calling Israelites are not the same people who were here before. You heard the stories of how the Israelites were drove out of the Middle East by the Romans, and they fled to Africa. and they blended in with the Africans. You don't heard this story before. If you haven't, Google it. And some more people who can tell this story in better details. I would give them a shout out, but people don't give me no that. They won't give me no shout out. But there are people on YouTube can put it in better detail. Saying how the Israelites were drove out of Israel into Africa, and they blended in with the Africans. Because these people who the people who in Israel now, I'm not saying they not Israelites, because Israelites come in all different colors. But the part is, people don't want to recognize you as a Jew or anything because you don't look like the stereotypical Jew they had painted. Because a Jew is not people of one color. Jews are just like Christians. They're people of different races and all that good stuff. But you ain't going to, talk about it. They're going to talk, when you talk about a Jew, they're going to hold up a picture like Greenie. Greenie is one of them radio personnels. He do shows on ESPN. They're going to show you a picture like him, or they're going to show you a picture of like, oh, shoot. Who is another person? It's a bunch of, I can see their face, but I don't know all of them names. But they're going to show you a picture of the people of whiter skin as the Jews, but they ain't going to show us, black people, the Hebrews, they ain't going to show that junk. But, so the people who in Israel now were placed in Israel, like I said, I'm not going to say they are Jews, but they were placed in Israel in the 1940s after World War II. Because the people who in Israel now, the Jews who in Israel now, they came from over, in the Germany and Denmark areas, stuff like that. Those not the original Jews who were in Israel, but they are Jews. See, I ain't trying to knock them or try to degrade them or saying they're not Jews, but those wasn't the Jews they in Israel now. They were Jews. Those was the Jews in Israel, Denmark, France and stuff like that, up in that area. They wasn't in the Middle East. They were more in Europe, but they was in Europe. But after the war, they negotiated with the United States, and they negotiated with, Russia, and a bunch of the United States allies in World War II. They were saying we would not have our freedom until we have our own land. So they made Israel their land, and they supplied Israel with high-tech weapons. And ever since then, Israel been using those high-tech weapons on people who throwing stones at them. Most of the time, you hear attack. I remember before the internet, when I was growing up, they always put on the news, suicide bomb blew up an Israel bus. But they never put on the news what Israel was doing to them when we were growing up. Because you didn't have all this done. You didn't have all the access to the world like we had then when I was growing up. You just seen what happened on the news, and most of the time the Palestinians were seen as the victims. There was the bloodthirsty, killing, suicide bombers. That's how they were portrayed. And they never said what the Jews did back to them. They never said the Jews go in there and just bomb people's houses, kill a bunch of innocent people. So I got a video. The United States news is pretty much pro-Israel. Not no pretty much, is pro-Israel. So a lot of stuff you're going to hear is going to be like in the defense of why the Israelites or the Jews is dropping bombs on the Palestinians. It's just a 2-minute video. Here you go.
Go to a deadly outbreak of violence in the Middle East. Overnight, Palestinian militants and Israeli forces exchanged rockets and missiles after several days of clashes centered on one of Islam's holiest sites in Jerusalem. Elizabeth Palmer is following all this for us. Liz, good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, I can tell you that the situation is still very tense as we speak. In fact, there hasn't been this level of violence and confrontation since 6 days of heavy fighting back in 2019. Hamas rockets streaking from Gaza toward Israel lit up the night sky, and so did the glow of Israeli retaliatory airstrikes. Israel says it hit Hamas military targets, but this morning, Gazans inspected collateral damage, property, and in the past 24 hours of widespread violence, say Palestinian authorities, more than 400 were wounded and 24 killed. In Israel, air raid sirens wailed last night, warning people to take cover. Because so many of the incoming rockets were intercepted, there was minimal damage, but multiple deaths. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the fact that the rockets were aimed at Jerusalem crossed a red line. Israel, he said, would respond with great force. There were several flashpoints last night. In the West Bank, groups of Palestinians threw rocks at Israeli police who fired back stun grenades. And there were similar skirmishes at the ground zero of these clashes, the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Yesterday, the fourth day of violent protests, a group of Palestinians barricaded themselves inside the mosque compound, and police grenades landed inside the mosque itself after Ramadan prayers. This all began almost a month ago, when especially young Palestinians were angered by Israeli limits on Ramadan gatherings.
Now, since the beginning of Ramadan, they have escalated to the point of absolute provocation for Palestinians everywhere.
Adding fuel to the fire is the planned eviction of several Palestinian families from homes in East Jerusalem that the Israeli courts have ruled belong to Jews. And as I said, the fighting is continuing this morning. More rockets have been fired at Israel, and our colleague inside Gaza tells us that people there are braced for war. Gail? Thank you, Elizabeth Palmer in London.
People, did you hear what they said? The people, some Palestinians had barricaded themselves up in the mosque. And after they got through praying, Israel police threw grenades. They ain't send no flash bang grenades. They ain't send no smoke grenades. They said a grenade. And then they talking about the Palestinians who been living in the West Bank. They home. Israel gonna drive them out of their home because Israel court. This is what I said, people. The court in Israel has said they need to go because they ruled that Israel land. People, the court, I want to make that clear. The court in Israel want them gone or said they need to go. Because they said they ruled that as Israel land. What is that court going to do? We're like, nah. Y'all stay away. No. Them Palestinians been living there for decades or maybe centuries. This is their home. No, the court ain't going to say that. The court going to like, they need to go. They need to get their ass up, leave out of here. Because this is Israel property. Even though it's their property. They've been living there. But that's how I go. Like I said in my title of the video, you can tell it's springtime. But in spring, you start throwing out. Yeah, in the Middle East, it's snow. For the people who don't think it's snow, they think about desert and stuff. It's snow. That snow go away. It's time for Israel to go in there and start killing Palestinians. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, hit the notification, hit the share button. Thank you. You have a good day. Okay.